You're listening to Brainwork Framework, a business and marketing podcast, brought to you by focus-biz.com.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this episode. With us today is Danna Olivio, the founder and CEO of MarketAtomy. We're going to talk about all the things that brought her into her entrepreneurial experience here, as well as tips and tricks that you can take with you. Danna, thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Chris. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So tell me more about your past experience and how that actually led you into what you're doing today.
Oh, goodness. You want the whole book here, huh?
Open it up. Let us see inside.
Okay. Well, I started out in the architectural engineering construction market. My dad was a block mason, and I kind of grew up, I like to say I have cement in my blood. So I've always been in that industry in the business development, marketing, and strategic planning side. So mostly on the commercial side of things. I learned the business from the product innovation side through the spec development to design to construction and aftermarket. And with that, what happened is in 2009, when the industry went through its upheaval and everything, and I was laid off, I, as a strategist, knew that the only country coming out of the recession faster than anybody else was Brazil. And that was because they had just won the awards for both the FIFA Games and the Summer Olympic Games. So with my experience in the AEC industry, I took myself into Brazil internationally to create inroads for companies here having to shut their doors to partner with companies in Brazil in preparation for the games.
Strategic planning. I like that.
I'm telling you, you've got to learn to pivot. You need to learn to pivot with where the market's going. I saw where it was going. And as much as I tried telling them, the last company I was with, telling them, look, you need to start cross-training, you need to do this. They didn't want to hear it because they'd never had to market themselves. In the AEC industry, jobs just came to them, but they learned the hard way, unfortunately. But it also opened up the opportunity for me to go out on my own and do what I do best. And I did it internationally into Brazil.
Wow, that's fantastic. Just like you mentioned, as entrepreneurs, business owners, we need to pivot. We need to be forward thinking. We're always taking calculated risks, aren't we? And we see something that's coming. It's our opportunity to say, are we going to pivot or just stay the course? And I'm glad that you pivoted.
And that's exactly it. You need to, as business owners, as leaders in general, and we don't even have to be the business owner. We can be in a leadership position within a company. But if you see things that are going on around you, if you see your competition laying people off or hiring people, or if you see technology that's being introduced, my number one clue, as you would call it, when I was in that industry is I saw us going within maybe a 40-day period, 45-day period, competing against maybe 3 to 4 companies for one particular job to competing to 30 and 40 different companies for the same job. And these were companies that would never go after these types of projects because they were trying to keep their field people busy. So you need to be watching for those signs, as I say. The universe is always telling us.
It's up to us to listen.
It's up to us to listen to them. So after I went into Brazil, and then when I came back 4.5 years later, after Brazil started going through their economic recession, I came back. And amazingly, what happened was I had several of my colleagues and other business owners who had to shut their doors during that rough period because there just was not work. There wasn't funding. And these individuals would come to me knowing I'm a strategist, say, what am I doing wrong? I can't seem to make this business work. Can't seem to get customers. And in the process of learning and listening, I realized they may have had a good product or service offering, but they did not know how to build a business around that product or service offering. And with that, I launched what's called MarketAtomy, is marketing anatomy. And it's all about the entire process for bringing customers through the door.
I love that so much. And I love that it's the process of bringing people in, because when people think of marketing or advertising, they think, okay, one viral video and that'll be all we need. We need one Facebook or Instagram ad and that's all we need. No, there's an entire array of customer service, the follow through, the follow up, everything within that will determine how the customer views your business and your product. So I think that's so important.
And you're absolutely right. We have what's called the MarketAtomy concept. And this was developed because the individuals I was working with did not understand business. They did not understand marketing. I had to put it in terms that they would understand. And so what I did was develop the MarketAtomy concept, and it's built around the human body. So that's why it's MarketAtomy. Okay. In the human body, you've got the heart. That is your emotions. Those are your feelings and things like that. It's your why you do what you do. The brain sends the signals to the heart to beat, right? In business, it's the same thing. Your heart is why you do what you do. It's your passion that drives your business. In the brain are all of the tools, all of the playbook for your business. It's your systems, your methodologies, everything. It's the how you do business. The heart is why. The brain is how. Okay. In the human body, can the heart and the brain operate separately?
Typically,
No.
no.
It's the same thing in business. Okay. When you think about it, the same thing in business. Your brain and your heart have to operate in tandem to push your marketing message out through the veins of the body, which are your marketing channels, social media, whatever it is that you use, to the body, which is the human body. All right. That is the process, because ultimately the soul of the business is you as the business owner. And so unless you have that holistic approach to bring customers through the door, they're not going to come through the door. They're not going to know why they need to be using you.
Absolutely. That heart that you mentioned gives you your purpose. That's the why. And that's what people connect with. They connect with emotions. They resonate with that. They want to understand the business behind the company and who runs it, who does this. So I think that's so important to have that purpose factor and understand why we do these things. And then obviously we want to improve our brain and the rest of our body. We want to be fit. We want to exercise. We want to have free flowing veins.
Right.
That's so important. Something that you mentioned within some of the topics for us to talk about is how we can use that anatomy for the 5 phases of growth for like early stage businesses. And I think some of that falls into the see it, prove it, build it, fund it, and grow it. I know that sounds simple, but I think there's more detail required for us.
Yes. My target audience, my main audience are those young first phase entrepreneurs or leaders. Okay. Generally, they're going to be under 3 years of age. They're going to be earning less than $3 million. Some of them are just in the startup stage, and they're going to have less than 10 employees. These are the people who are failing in business. And the reason they're failing is they don't know what they don't know about running and launching a successful business. So in an effort to communicate to them the strategic process for launching and growing a business, I came up with the 5 phases of business. Okay. With any business, you have the idea. That's your see it phase. That's your napkin phase is what we call it. This is you get so excited. Oh yeah, we can do this, that kind of thing. But then immediately they want to jump right in and start building the business. But they can't do that. You need to go in and you need to prove it in the market first. So you see it and then you go and prove it in the market. And I'm saying you don't prove it with your family and friends. Okay. You go out into the market and you make sure that you're going to be able to get the price point that you want for what it is that you offer, and that there is a need for what you're selling there. Once you determine that there is a need and that you can get the money that you need, then you go and build your business. And that's going to be the longest phase of the whole process, because during that building phase, that is when your systems and your processes and everything out, your messaging is going to be clarified during that. Once you have a business that's making revenue, that's bringing in revenue, and you've got a proven concept and everything, Then you can start thinking about funding it. All right. To that point, 9 times out of 10, you're self-funding. All right. So the fourth phase is you go and fund it. And in order to fund it, you need to know, how much am I going to need? That's when you have to do a cash flow analysis. You have to start developing the funding plan so that you can take it to your bank or you can take it to an investor or whatever. But by that time, you've got a solid business and they're going to want to invest because you've got proven processes, systems, marketing strategies, everything. And then finally, once you get the funding, then you can turn around and you can grow the business.
Yes, absolutely. All of those phases are so important. I feel like so many people get so excited within the purpose of the see it phase. They get really excited. And then the prove it phase is completely abandoned. They forget about it. There needs to be a proof of concept. And within the prove it and the build it stage, you're going to learn so much from your demographic, your target audience. You're going to learn about what processes work or don't work. You're going to have all of that refined and ironed out. You want that before you go to the fund it phase, because that business plan, that cash flow analysis that you present to an investor or a bank, that is a determining factor to if they're going to give you the money or not, because they are taking a calculated risk and they're betting on you. Is it going to be a good bet?
Yeah. And a great deal of businesses, when they start out, they think, okay, I'm going to go for angel funding or I'm going to go for VC funding right from the very beginning. But there is no concept proven there. They said, well, they'll pay for my idea. Ideology is not something that someone's going to spend thousands of dollars, okay, unless you have something in place, unless it's something that's really, and at that point, you're going to be giving away probably 70% of your business because they're not going to take anything less than that. If they're going to assume the risk right in the early stages, you might as well be planning on giving that business away.
Yes, absolutely. All of that planning and preparation has to lead to something. And one piece that you mentioned is the bus scenario or the plane. I feel like people are like, what if you or members in your team, the critical infrastructure, were to get hit by a bus or the plane doesn't land properly and that business is gone? You have an experience like that from a Mack truck. Tell me about that. What can we do to plan and prepare? What is that story?
Okay. Tell me, Chris, I told you this story already, right?
I don't think so. The Brazil, I didn't hear the bus part.
You didn't hear the bus part?
No.
Yes. About a year before I left Brazil, I was down in Brazil doing business, just coming off of a very productive day of meetings. And I was crossing the street and Brazil had introduced a rapid bus system because they had such a bad traffic problem. Well, anybody who knows traffic planning, okay, knows you set up rapid bus stops on inside traffic lanes away from pedestrian traffic. Brazil did. They're great visionaries, but when it comes to planning, forget it. I love the country. But anyway, so I was crossing the street after my driver had left me, and I got hit by a bus going 45 miles an hour. This will give you a perfect example of why you need to have a strategy in place, because my business stopped for a good year and a half going through surgeries and rehab and everything else. Yes, the strategic process of growing your business and being able to launch and grow that business successfully has to have those pivot points built in. Okay. There's a difference between a strategist and a sequencing strategist. Okay. I'm a sequencing strategist. And what a sequencing strategist does is they look ahead at the many things that can happen down the road. If they should happen, what is the plan? So you may have 2, 3 different trajectories that you're going to take based on what's going to happen down the road. All right. And for me, down in Brazil, I did not have that originally. But luckily, I'm one who watches for signs out there. When I got back to the US and started my surgeries here and through rehab, I had these colleagues and everything coming to my house, just asking, and then the light bulbs go off. And then you say, okay, this is a new pivot. This is a pivot that can be taken that's going to carry me to the next stage. Well, while I'm doing this, my heart is with these early stage businesses who can't afford my mentoring services or things like that. And my husband comes to me and says, "Dad, it's great that you want to work with these people, but they can't pay and we need to make money." And I said, "Yes, sweetheart, we do." So what I did, another pivot point was COVID kicked in 2020. And at that time, a lot of my one-on-one stopped. But luckily, I had in my strategic plan to build an online learning system. I always wanted to build an online learning system because I had gone back to school to get my education when I realized I didn't know what I did not know. But most people can't. And I said, okay, how can I take what I've learned and turn it around and put it into an environment that these small businesses can learn, can go in and get the resources that they need. And so we developed MarketAtomy Academy.
Nice.
And it's an online learning system. The highest price point, I believe, is like $6.99 for the year to have access to all of the courses for 12 months in there.
Nice.
And you can learn everything from cash flow management to annual strategic planning. The difference is with our academy, because I did my research, you've got all of these other online platforms. The problem is what you learn in those a lot of times becomes shelf help. Okay. I did not want these courses becoming shelf help. So we have built into these courses a learning component and an experiential component. So with every course you take in MarketAtomy Academy, you will walk away with a customized approach for your business.
That is fantastic. And that price point is right on par with one single college course plus a textbook. And you think
Exactly.
about that's one area, that's one subject. And they usually have 101, 201, 301. You're putting it all together. And most importantly, it's the information with the actionable.
Right.
You need
Right.
to have
There
both.
are some prerequisites. Okay. Like if you want to get into one course, if I felt as though you needed to take this course first, it will say, we recommend that you take this first, those kind of things. They can also purchase individual courses. They don't have to take a year's subscription. We do have discounted rates, but that was my way of working with those early stage businesses that don't have the money to pay a mentor. The ultimate goal is to get them to the point as they go through MarketAtomy Academy that they're making revenue so they can turn around and hire.
Yes. Yes. You're
Okay.
like,
So there's always a plan in place, Chris. You've got to be thinking ahead. You've got to be thinking, my goal this year, I'm working on my 7th book. And the
nice.
7th book is all about the memoir of what I went through down in Brazil and my learning that through, it's been 10 years now, 11 years now. Okay. Since the accident, everything I have learned through the PTSD, psychological, all of the mental self-sabotaging plots that we all suffer from. Yeah. We all go through it. I don't care how experienced you are. You can be a multi-million-dollar CEO or something like that, but we all have those self-sabotaging blocks that we don't realize we have until you start seeing the patterns. And I started seeing those patterns and I said, okay, something's going on here.
That's crazy. It's tough to take a look at ourselves and what behaviors we can improve on. But how do we
Exactly.
improve that? How do we get over that self-sabotaging behavior?
Well, it's amazing what I learned through my processes is I had to go back to my childhood, which was not a friendly childhood. I had to go back. I thought I had put it all away. But what I realized is those self-saboteurs that were within me came from my childhood. All right. And what I realized is as much as I believed I could do anything, and I could, even with what I did down in Brazil and everything, I could do anything I put my mind to. The problem was when I got to the finish line, when I got to the point where I had to cross over, something would happen that would keep me from crossing over. And by exploring that, what I found is it was because I knew once I crossed over, I'd have to deliver. And I was worried that people would think that I was a fraud, that what I was saying, that was an eye opener for me. That was a huge eye opener for me. And once I realized that I needed to, I keep a little note here. It says, believe and receive. You have to believe and receive the rewards for all the hard work that you put out there. It's true.
Absolutely. That's incredible. Those behaviors that we have inside of us that we either recognize or don't, but once we do, we generally want to try to fix those and to take that real deep look at ourselves, our past experiences, and why we behave the way we do. It's so important for us to get that closure and to move on, to be able to
Yes.
learn from that experience and then take
Right.
action from it. So the fact that
Right.
it was, even with all your experience, we all feel like we're some phonies or that deliver piece, they're not going to be happy with it. Why do we tell ourselves no before we let others? If they're not happy with it, it could be the best thing that they've ever had from a marketing consultant or any sort of piece. And they're
That's
like,
true.
yeah, why do we do
Yeah,
that? It's
that's
crazy.
true. I even had a call with my coach this morning. And folks out there, I'm going to tell you, everyone needs a coach. You need to have some kind of a coach. And so I was talking to him this morning, and he's over in Austria right now. He travels all over the world. And we were talking about this, and because he's helping me with my book too. I told him, I says, I've got all these things that I'm working on. I've got the academy, which the academy is going fine, but I want to be able to build it. But I kind of put that on the back burner. And the reason being is because I am concentrating on revenue, bringing revenue in. And then I said, I also have this database. It's 98% developed because I'm a database designer. I said, it's all ready to go except for that last 2%. And I've been kind of sitting back, just letting time pass and not doing that. And he says, that's your self-saboteur. You need to take advantage of this, of the knowledge base that you've gotten, and you need to go ahead and complete these projects. So those are things that even as a CEO in my position, whether you're very high up or you're just starting out, you need to be able to recognize what's holding you back.
Absolutely. And then only once we discover it can we take action from that.
Exactly it.
But that accountability, having that community, someone you can pass ideas off of, because otherwise we're just kind of stuck in our own heads, aren't we?
Yeah.
Or, and unless we actually speak that out loud, other people can share their experiences, which sounds similar to the academy that you have, having coaching, bringing that community from a network and
Right.
bringing action from ideas. Those
Right.
all go hand in hand for us to do it together. Now, for those who are really loving all the experience and ideas that you're putting out there, where can people connect with you and find you online?
Well, they can connect to me through LinkedIn, always through LinkedIn at Danna Olivio, DANNAOLIVO. Always through LinkedIn. You can also connect to me through Charged Up Studio. That is my weekly podcast that I do. It's called chargedupstudio.live. All right. And so you can reach me through that. I also have a monthly mastermind. It's the Small and Medium Business Mastermind Council. And that's held on the fourth Thursday of every month. And that is where small business leaders get together and they work together, collaborate to identify what goals that they want to reach in the next 30 days and how they can reach those goals.
Oh, I love that. And
Very lessons learned.
and what are the price points on that small business?
The small business mastermind is $200 a month. All right. Or you can get it for, I think it's $2,000 a year. If you buy it in a year's package, you save $400.
Nice. People love those monthly, yearly discounts.
Yeah.
And honestly, at that price point, that is almost unlocking your success. You're like, what does it take for me to get to the next level? Just
Yeah, no,
$200 a
that's
month?
true.
Seriously?
That's true. And the website where they can reach or go in and find out about it is the SMB, SM as in small and medium business -mastermind.com.
I love
And that's
that.
where you can find that information that you want on that. In fact, the 25th of this month, I think is the date. We are actually going to have a panel of 3 technology experts, and we're going to be talking about the technology platforms that are out there to help us set up systems and processes that are going to streamline businesses.
That is so huge. I am a huge
It
data
is.
nerd. I love tech and tools. That is right up my alley. And I know for other entrepreneurs and business owners, they need that so much, but they don't know where to start. So I feel like
Yeah.
connecting with you and your
Yeah.
community is going to help them uncover what people are doing with their processes and systems and automation, help them follow up and actually streamline their business. So that way they get all of that out of their head and into a system so they can start looking at the big picture and taking
Right.
those actions.
Right. And one other thing that we are doing on the technology side is with the introduction of AI. All right. That there are a lot of hackers out there who have really mastered the AI and been able to get in and capture your intellectual property. We are going to be holding an informational webinar that will teach you how to protect yourself against these hackers. So that is going to be on the 31st of this month. It's only $49 to attend.
That's
But
fantastic.
you can go to MarketAtomy.com and you can get more information on that. Right on the front page is a link to that webinar.
I love that. Now, Dana, do you mind if I ask, what is one piece of advice that you want to give to entrepreneurs that if you could start all over again, if you could re-envision the way that you started your business, is there one piece of advice that is going to unlock the next step for most small business owners, medium business owners out there?
Oh, goodness. One thing I would say is don't quit your job until you're ready, unless you have a backup plan. Because when you start chasing checks, you're working in the business and not on the business. All right. And the only other one that I think is critical is you don't work in a vacuum, especially now we've gotten used to working virtually and everything. And if we're not willing to reach out in a mastermind session or in a coaching session or something like that, working in a vacuum is the fastest way to failure.
Yes, I love it.
Oh, and the other thing is don't look too far ahead. You can have your long-term goals, but celebrate the short-term successes.
Yes, absolutely. One thing with our dreams, we have to put a timeline to them. Otherwise, they're just something in the future that
Right.
aren't really going to happen. We got to
Right.
celebrate those short-term wins. I love that.
That's exactly it. And you'd be surprised at how many you will meet if you look at the short term and then reevaluate, say, 6 months down the road. Oh gosh, I did a lot this year, but you have to put timelines on it.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Dana, thank you so much for all of your advice, tips and tricks and experience. Thank you for sharing that with us. For all of you listeners out there, we're going to have the links available down in the description with all the links that she shared with us today. And make sure you go and follow our page, share it with your friends, and comment below on a piece of advice that you'd like to share as well. Dana, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate it, Chris. I enjoy talking about this and working with small and medium businesses.
I love it. We appreciate it. Thanks so much for all the advice. We will be in touch.
All right.